Senator Christopher Go is recognized to sponsor the measure.
Mr. President, it is with great honor as chairperson of the Committee on Health and Demography that I stand to sponsor and seek your support for Senate Bill 1076 under Committee Report Number 7, entitled An Act Establishing Malasakit Centers in all Department of Health hospitals in the country and providing funds therefore. Mr. President, this bill aims to provide medical and financial assistance to indigent and financially incapacitated patients through a one-stop shop called Malasakit Center and ensure that patients experience and receive compassion, respect, and empathy or malasakit in the availment of health services. Earlier this year, President Rodrigo Duterte signed into law Republic Act number 11223 or the Universal Healthcare Act, in effect making all Filipino citizens members of the National Health Insurance Program or PhilHealth. The UHC is expected to reform the country's health system by improving our health delivery, providing significant insurance benefits and coverage, and responding to the gap in the health workers throughout the country. Now, as we anticipate the changes that the UHC will bring to patients' access and to individual healthcare, the challenge remains on how we can alleviate the financial burden of indigent and financially incapacitated patients and families who can only afford the health services of public hospitals. The benefits under the Universal Healthcare rely on health benefits package as determined by the PhilHealth. As such, out-of-pocket expenditures may still arise if the benefit packages are not enough to cover the medical needs of indigent and poor patients. Mr. President, data from Mercer March Benefits 2019 medical trends around the world showed that medical inflation rate will outpace the actual inflation in the country and is projected to rise to 13.7%. This makes our medical inflation rate the second highest in Asian region, next to Vietnam's 14.2%. In 2017, the Philippine Statistics Authority reported that out-of-pocket payment accounted for 55% of health expenditures. This is despite the safety nets of already provided by PhilHealth. While the UHC provides for a no-cost payment policy for basic or ward accommodation, the reality is almost all public hospitals where most poor and indigent patients access health services exceed occupancy rates of their licensed beds. DOH hospitals have an average bed capacity of 132%. For LGU hospitals, the average bed occupancy rate is 191%. Medical assistance will help cover excesses in licensed bed capacities of public hospital to ensure zero co-payment of the poor and indigent patients. We must also acknowledge that we are still in the state of transition in the full implementation of the UHC. Thus, the reality remains that there will still be a need for medical assistance and financial support for patients. We aim to fill the gap through the various assistance offered by various government agencies. Mr. President, it is not uncommon for us to see patients knocking on the doors of various government agencies to request for financial assistance to cover medical expenses. In fact, we have here the Senate Public Assistance Centers downstairs that caters some of their needs. Noong ako pa man po ay Special Assistant to the President pa, ganun rin po ang sitwasyon. Araw-araw, napakaraming Pilipinong lumalapit sa aming opisina, pumipila sa ilalim ng init ng araw, nagmamakaawa dahil kailangan nila ng tulong mula sa gobyerno. Dahil walang iisang opisina kung saan maaring dumulog ng tulong ang ating mga kababayan, kailangan pa nilang pumila ng napakahabang sa iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno. Paikot-ikot po sila buong araw. Ubos yung pamasahe nila, ubos pa yung panahon nila sa buong linggo. Hihingi lang po sila ng tulong. This depression situation led the Duterte government to establish Malasakit centers in public hospitals. It is one of the solutions we have developed to provide quick and quality access to healthcare to all Filipinos, regardless of their age, sex, ethnic background, religion, and political affiliation. These Malasakit centers serve as a one-stop shops where Filipino can seek financial and medical assistance provided by various government agencies. With this, Filipinos no longer have to endure long lines in different agencies to avail assistance. Currently, we have established 42 Malasakit centers nationwide which serve 160,000 patients every month. Mr. President, Senate Bill 10766 seeks to institutionalize the establishments of Malasakit centers in all DOH retained hospitals. It consolidates under one roof the assistance given by the DOH, DSWD, and PCSO. To clarify, Mr. President, we are not providing additional funds for assistance. We are merely establishing a one-stop shop for medical and financial assistance. In Malasakit centers, the concerned government agencies retain and run their own medical and financial assistance programs. Ang kaibahan lamang, hindi na mahirapan ang ating mga kababayan natin dahil nasa isang bubong o nasa isang opisina na lamang sila pupunta para sa mga government assistance at hindi na po sila lalayo sa mga ospital para po makakuha ng tulong. Each Malasakit center shall be composed of duly designated representatives from the DOH, DSWD, PCSO, and PhilHealth. The DOH, DSWD, and PCSO representatives shall process and approve the request for medical and financial assistance. The PhilHealth representatives shall assist in the availment of benefits and address other PhilHealth-related concerns of patients. We are pushing to institutionalize this so that we can provide enough personnel in Malasakit centers and for the continued operations of the centers, even beyond the administration of President Duterte. Malaking tulong po ito sa ating mga kababayan. Kung dati kailangan pang pumila sa napakahaba-haba po at nagpapa-interview pa po sa iba't ibang ahensya, ngayon sa Malasakit centers, ang medical social workers na lang ang mag-a-assess ng indigency at ang mismong agency representatives ang magpo-process at mag-a-approve ng assistance. Nandun na po sila sa iisang bubong o isang opisina. Under the bill, Mr. President, other public hospitals may also establish Malasakit centers provided that they guarantee the availability of funds for the operation of Malasakit Center, which includes its maintenance, personnel complement, staff training, among others. Mr. President, Malasakit Center is just part of a bigger picture of providing Malasakit. The proposed measure also establishes a Malasakit program which shall provide a policy framework for integrated people-centered health services in DOH hospitals. The program shall ensure and promote an organizational culture geared towards responsiveness, ensure appropriate infrastructure and processes, and promote client engagement and empowerment. Ang Malasakit program po sa ilalim ng DOH ay magbibigay ng direksyon kung paano ang tamang pakikitungo sa pasyente at sa mga nangangailangan. Hindi dapat maramdaman ng mga humihingi ng tulong na natatapakan ang kanilang dignidad at respeto sa sarili. Basta Pilipino, matanda o bata, babae o lalaki, mayaman o mahirap, it does not matter. Dapat magmalasakit at tumulong po tayo sa kanila. Mr. President, Malasakit centers will therefore have various functions. First, it will serve as a one-stop shop for medical and financial assistance. It will also provide patient navigation and referral to the healthcare provider networks. The centers can provide patients information with regard to membership, coverage, and benefit packages in the National Health Insurance Program, document, process, and utilize data from patient experience through a standardized form to shape institutional changes in the hospital and provide capacity building and performance evaluation that ensure good client interaction. There will also be a special lane in each Malasakit center for the exclusive use of senior citizens and persons with disabilities. To ensure proper provision of assistance, we have mandated DOH to conduct monitoring and evaluation that would assess the responsiveness of Malasakit centers, including a client satisfaction survey, utilizing indicators such as reduced waiting time and percentage of indigent and financially incapacitated patients served, among others. Mr. President, it is with high expectations that we would be able to further streamline and expedite the delivery of services to Filipinos, especially to those who need them most. Thus, I urge my fellow members of this august chamber to support the immediate passage of this measure. Ibigay natin sa Pilipino ang mabilis, maayos, at maasahang serbisyo, lalo na po sa pagdating sa pangangailangan ng pangkalusugan. As I have said many times, pera nila ito ibalik sa kanila sa pamamagitan ng mabilis, maayos at maasahang serbisyo mula sa gobyernong may malasakit. Wala pong ibang requirements dapat dito, basta Pilipino ka, qualified ka. Pera nila ito, binabalik lang po sa kanila. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator and Senator Villar also is asking for the floor. Would you like to allow the ladies first? Senator Cynthia Villar is recognized.
Okay. I want to manifest my support to the Malasakit Center bill of Senator Bong. This is good for the poor people of the Philippines. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Cynthia Villar. Senator Manny Pacquiao is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. As for a manifestation, Mr. President, I have always been passionate about helping our people, Mr. President, especially the underprivileged and the less fortunate. Ramdam ko ang kanilang paghihirap at pighati, Mr. President. Kaya itong sinasabi ko noon, na kapag programa para sa mga mahihirap, dapat suportahan natin. Programa man ito ng iba o programa mo o programa ng iba, basta para sa mga mahihirap, dapat sama-sama tayo. Hindi natin dapat kontrahin, no? Napakaganda itong programang Malasakit, Mr. President. Malasakit Center dahil ito na ang abot doon sa lalapit na doon sa mga mahihirap. Hindi na sila mahirapan para sa pangangailangan ng tulong, Mr. President. I'm with you, Senator Bongo, with your passion to help the people. With this, I would like to manifest my full support for the passage of Senate Bill number 1076 under Committee Report number 7, an act institutionalizing Malasakit centers to complement the implementation of Republic Act number 11223, otherwise known as the Universal Healthcare Act, by requiring PhilHealth to establish, operate, and maintain Malasakit centers in all DOH, LGU, SUC, and DND hospitals in the country, providing funds thereof and for other purposes, Mr. President. Also wish to be made co-author, Mr. President, with this measure. I hope that the gentleman from Davao, Mr. President, will accept my co-authorship to his bill. And thank you, Mr. President, para sa mga mahirap.
All right, we would like to make such a record. I see Senator Go agree. So
Willingly accepted yung co-authorship.
being co-author. Yes, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I also want to manifest my unequivocal support to the proposal of Senator Bongo to institutionalize the Malasakit centers all over our country. Mr. President, this is a good mechanism to bring down national government services all the way down to our constituents. I've seen our constituents line up for hours, go to Manila just to seek support, seek financial assistance to their loved ones. Talagang kung yung ibang mga kasama ho natin, kung meron ho silang mga kamag-anak na nagkakasakit at kailangan ho nila ng malaking suporta, Luluwas pa po sila ng Metro Manila para po pumunta sa PCSO, pumunta po sa DSWD just to get financial aid and financial support. Pamasahe pa lang ho, lugi na ho sila doon. So, Mr. President, this institutionalization of Malasakit Center is a good way of bringing national government services all the way down to our constituents. There's no cost because it will be set up in our hospitals, in existing facilities, and there's no additional cost to manpower because it will be manned by existing manpower of the LGUs as well as the existing hospitals. Mr. President, the sooner that we can institutionalize this, the sooner that we can alleviate the pains and sufferings of our constituents when they need it the most. So again, Mr. President, I would like to also manifest my intention to be a co-sponsor of this measure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
All right. Before we suspend the measure, yes, Senator Sani Angara is recognized. And then Senator Bong Revilla, Tolentino, De La Rosa, and Senator Marcos.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Bong. Although he stood first, he graciously yielded the floor. I also would like to manifest my support for the Malasakit measure, Mr. President, because I have seen firsthand in PGH that we have patients coming from as far as Maguindanao in the halls, the ER of Philippine General Hospital. So imagine the carbon footprint and the cost of coming to Manila from a place as distant as the Muslim Mindanao. So napakalayo po. So I think maganda po ang intention nitong ating measure. I would just suggest that perhaps we limit it to not rather than all LGUs. Perhaps the LGUs who need it the most, Mr. President, because from where I sit as finance chair, I see that there are some LGUs who will be getting the bulk of the 300 billion fruit of the Mandanas ruling in 2022, maybe even earlier if the Supreme Court reverses itself. So there are also cities which have very nice hospitals. Mr. President, pagbigyan naman natin yung mga LGU like who cannot afford, or the provinces who cannot afford these nice facilities. But again, I am one with the sponsor, and I commend him for coming out with this very timely measure, which will help the, as mentioned by our colleagues, yung mas kapuspalad po sa ating lipunan. So here I express my support, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Bong Revilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, ramdam po natin ang tunay na malasakit ng panukalang batas na ito. Kaya I fully support this measure, Mr. President. Kaya pagtulong-tulungan po natin na maipasa ang panukalang batas nito sa lalong madaling panahon. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Senator Tolentino is recognized.
Would the good gentleman yield to some manifestation of support?
We are still in the sponsorship.
No, manifestation of support, Mr. President.
Manifestation of support.
I'd like to join my other colleagues in supporting the passage of Senate Bill 1076. Health is wealth. These simple words have been uttered all throughout society since time immemorial. In the past, this statement just used to appear as a mere cliche, a standard generic quote used by children in their art projects, even July when they celebrate Nutrition Month in school. However, today, more than ever, it is nothing short of being recognized as a universal truth. Good health is something the whole world knows that everyone must enjoy. Ito pong Malasakit Center Bill ni Senator Bongo ay patungo sa direksyong ito, lalong-lalo na sa goal number 3.8 ng United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which I quote, achieve universal health coverage, including financial risk protection, access to quality essential healthcare services, and access to safe, effective, quality, and affordable essential medicines and vaccines for all, unquote. It is therefore clear, Mr. President, that even our Constitution mandates that the health of the Filipino people should be protected and given utmost importance by the state. As lawmakers, as the representatives of the people, principally given the task of giving life to these most revered words, it is but our responsibility to create and enact laws that will promote not just our people's health, but also improve their access to it. What started out as a simple one-stop shop in the Vicente Soto Memorial Center in Cebu City has been recognized to be of great value in delivering much-needed health services to the people and is now worthy of emulation all throughout the country. Now we have more than 42 Malasakit centers nationwide. With this bill, we give back dignity to the people who ask for help regarding their medical needs. Soon, gone will be the days when people have to knock at the multiple doors of several government agencies and leaders to ask for medical and financial help, which in the first place, under the Constitution, should have been readily given to them by the state. These people are in need of assistance because they are sick. However, the current process for asking assistance, the maze of bureaucracy, the circus of overlapping functions is making them even more sick. With this bill, those who need assistance only have to approach one center, one kiosk, conveniently situated inside every government hospital, and they receive vital information regarding their health care, as well as receive financial and medical assistance from different government agencies in a more simplified and conveniently streamlined process in the Malasakit Center. This bill is nothing but a blessing to each and every Filipino, and I humbly express my support for its passage, even asking the good senator if I can be made as a co-sponsor, co-author.
We accept the co-authorship.
The Filipinos may not be rich in terms of money and other material wealth, but with this Malasakit Center Act, we may just finally all enjoy the only wealth that matters in the end. That is the gift of good health. Maraming salamat po.
Senator De La Rosa, and then Marcos Villanueva.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I manifest my support, can I interpolate my kababayan, the other half of the good senators from Davao?
We would like to discourage the request of Senator De La Rosa. We're still in the period of sponsorship, so perhaps you
I
can
suppose-
open the period of interpellation.
I would like to
Manifestation is,
manifest my support,
yes.
Mr. President, for the to the measure proposed by my good kababayan from Davao. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator De La Rosa. Senator Amy Marcos.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. Indeed, those who have less in life should have more in law. Those who have no access to reliable, affordable health care should have more through the Malasakit centers. I extend my wholehearted support to this measure and hope that we quickly pass the bill and committee report of our good colleague, Senator Bongo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Villanueva.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just to put on record my intention to be associated with the distinguished gentleman from Davao with this noble intention, which is very laudable, Mr. President. I've been in public service for quite some time, almost 2 decades, and I have seen how our people have a hard time getting assistance from different agencies of the government, trying to get help from their hospital bills, dun sa mga sakit at karamdaman na nararamdaman nila. And alam natin, Ginoong Pangulo, na may sense of pride din ang ating mga kababayan. Hindi naman sila basta-basta lalapit just because laging gusto lang nilang humingi ng tulong, kundi there are times na talagang desperado na sila and they wanted to seek help from our public officials. And so I'd like to put on record my sincerest support without prejudice also, Mr. President, for this representation to, at the proper time, suggest and introduce some amendments, if I may, Mr. President. So thank you, Mr. President, and we'd like to congratulate our distinguished colleague for filing this measure, this Senate Bill number 1076. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
May I also be allowed to give a manifestation, Mr. President? Mr. President, if there is any province that started the no balance billing, kung saan pwede po ako magyabang ng konti, it was the province of Bukidnon. As a matter of fact, PhilHealth recognized the province of Bukidnon as one of the first provinces to set up that type of no balance billing setup. It's called the Provincial Indigency Health Program, PIHP. But the sustainability was very difficult. The province spent almost $500 million a year on the maintenance of 3 hospitals that was built brand new. And so, any support coming from the national government is most welcome. Tama po sinabi ni Senator Angara today in the newspaper. If you look at the picture of the Philippine General Hospital, patients are lying in the hallways. Patients are already, there's so much patients that it's about to explode, Mr. President. Dami ng mga pasyente na nandun. And tama pong sinabi ni Senator Bongo, dati-rate, pupunta po sila doon, ang bayad, let's say 800,000 yung bill nila. Ngayon na, maski na 100,000 yung bill nila. Mr. Chairman, for simple medical procedure surgery, ang bayaran lang ng PhilHealth is only 15,000 to 25,000. Yan po ang katotohanan, Mr. President. May balance pa. And so, the family has to get in touch with a politician, goes to the senator's office, goes to the congressman's office, goes to the PCSO, mapipila po siya doon, goes to the PAGCOR at the time, PAGCOR used to give, goes to several offices. And hirap na hirap po sila. So what Senator Bongo has done is actually a novel idea which should have been done 10 years ago, which is to put everything in a one-stop shop para hindi na po paikot-ikot yung mga pasyente na sa mga ahensya na nagbibigay po ng tulong sa mga nangangailangan. So, count me in, Mr. President, as a supporter of this measure. Although my minority floor leader had a few questions earlier, sabi ko, oh, you can ask these questions in the proper time. But if, with the permission of the sponsor, if I can also be made co-sponsor, co-author of the said measure. Mr. President, I believe also Senator Bong Revilla and all those who stood up want to be made co-sponsors and co-authors.
We place that on record.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All
To
right.
allow our colleagues to study the measure a bit further, Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 1076.
Hearing no objection, the consideration of 1076 is suspended.
Mr. President, with the consent of the body, I move to transfer the Senate Bill number 716, it's an act providing campus housing to tenured faculty members in SUCs from the Committee on Higher Education to the Committee on Urban Planning, Housing and Resettlement as primary committee. This is in line with the first measure that we already moved to the Committee on Housing as well. Mr. President, I so move.
Motion to transfer referral. Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move for a 1 Senate minute suspension.
Session is suspended for 1 Senate minute.